Charlie Cox, that doesn't sound right.
Charlie Day?
No. That would be...
I'm blind. I'm a lawyer.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Popcorn Bucket List. Got a little bit more to talk about this week than we did last. Not as long of an intro. We don't have a big story or anything this time, but I found the Liam Neeson poster, and I'm really disappointed we didn't put that up last week. But Liam Neeson is with us here today.
Yes, he is.
To talk about Cold Pursuit as well. I'm just kidding. We're not going to talk about Cold Pursuit. But what we are going to talk about, one of the biggest stories happening in recent of movie stuff is Comic-Con has returned. First in-person event since 2019.
And it was big.
It was big. It was a big deal. Everyone's coming back. Everyone's getting back into Hall H. This is like the Coliseum for comic book movies, basically. This is the big reveal.
This is the big moment.
I always joke Comic-Con is like Hanukkah for comic book fans. We get a new gift each day. It's a little something extra. And there was a lot. John Wick 4 trailer came out. That was kind of unexpected. Dungeons & Dragons, they released their trailer finally. Hopefully a good movie there for the D&D fans. But always the big thing is who's going to bring more to the table, DC or Marvel?
And usually we know who it is.
Usually it's pretty close, though.
Okay.
Usually it's pretty close, I would say. But let's just give a quick rundown and some quick thoughts on who released what here. So let's give a recap of DC's lineup here. The Shazam trailer looked pretty good.
Yep.
End of list.
That's it.
Yeah, pretty much. Dwayne Johnson showed up in his Black Adam costume and kind of got fans hyped up too, I guess. But why'd they show up? Why'd Warner Brothers come? I've always joked Warner Brothers doesn't know what to do with DC anymore. This weekend proved it.
Yeah.
They don't know.
DC is in the superhero game for live action movies. They remind me of like that little kid that wants to play on your softball team or your t-ball that doesn't really know what he's doing, but he's going to show up and he's going to be there and he's going to have his glove. And that's what he's got. And he's ready to play. And that's what DC is right now.
But yeah, really wasn't much from DC's standpoint. So let's look at Marvel. Many more animated shows coming out.
Yep.
Daredevil was getting an 18-episode series. This is a little unprecedented because despite, if you ignore the network shows, which Kevin Feige seems to be doing, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't matter, Inhumans doesn't matter, all this other stuff, Agent Carter we have forgotten, even though Agent Carter is actually a pretty good show. This is the biggest series Marvel has put out.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, like the longest at this point was like WandaVision with 8 episodes. And I guess you can count the Netflix stuff too, but it looks like we might be ignoring those as well. We don't know what's canon anymore. Who knows? But that wasn't even it. We've got 2 Avengers movies coming out in the same year. People have been wondering, when's the next team up? We're going to have to wait quite a few years, 2025, but we're getting 2 in the same year. I can't remember the last time I guess the last time something like this happened was the Matrix movies. They shot them back to back and they released them within the same year.
Yep.
It didn't work out too great for the Matrix movies because they weren't able to like adjust or like rewrite things that didn't work.
Yep.
So this to me may be the biggest gamble Marvel is taking since probably the first Avengers.
Yep.
Because if you think about it, that was probably one of the first big gambles was saying we're going to do a team up movie.
Yep.
A huge 6-person team up movie.
Yep.
But then also the Black Panther trailer. This was also one of the big things that Marvel introduced here during Comic-Con. Their 5th most watched trailer after being released, I think I saw, was the stats. I gotta say, personally, I loved this trailer. I think it already showed that they were giving proper respect to Chadwick Boseman. You can tell that. Ryan Coogler, the director and writer of this movie, he also directed and wrote the first movie. I didn't notice it at the time, but he seemed really constricted and restrained in what he could do in that first one from a visual standpoint. This movie looks like they've let him off the leash, and I am loving it.
Yeah, I saw the underwater birth scene. I was like, oh, That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how that whole like underwater realm plays into it, because there was a lot of stuff underwater.
They're going to upstage DC again, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because like the Aquaman scenes were pretty good in Aquaman underwater and everything, but you can tell some of it was digital, and I do know some of it they did kind of shoot some underwater sequences and everything. But this one did look a little bit more authentic for the underwater.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. We got to get a win somewhere. So, yeah, like I said, I feel like in most years it's a little bit closer competition between these two. Clear winner, Marvel came out swinging. And this is especially surprising because they've kind of had their own mini Comic-Con in years past as well with D23. So part of it is, were they saving some for later? Like
they could be. They very well
kicked
could
the
be.
crap out of Warner Brothers, and this might not have even been all their ammo.
Yeah, they definitely could still have some ammunition loaded.
But with that, let's move into some weekly preview and let you know what's coming out here in theaters. Talk about it. By the time this video comes out, Wednesday, July 27th, we met in virtual reality. This is an HBO Max documentary completely shot in VR. In the VR world. It's basically like they're basically going into the VR world and I guess screen recording everything that's going on is probably the best way to do it.
It should say screen recorded in or recorded in VR, not shot in VR.
Well, what is shooting if not recording?
I don't know. It seems goofy.
If we're going out in the field, we're recording what we're shooting.
Yeah.
It just got lawyered.
It's weird. But I'm super excited to see it. I think it looks awesome. I don't know. I'm a very No. I don't know that much about virtual reality.
You haven't participated much in VR,
Yeah.
neither have I. But this documentary looks very inventive. It looks like it's kind of exploring a different world that someone like me and you are not very familiar with.
Yep.
So it does bring the question, at what point does virtual reality become reality? I think if you ask some of these participants in this documentary, they're going to say it already is our reality.
It already
and they're
is.
kind of living their best lives through it. And
you
know what? More power to them. As long as they're not like doing bad. People have done way worse things on the internet, is all I'm saying.
That's true.
Just let them live their
That's
lives.
true.
It's fine.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Before we move on, let's talk a little bit about the Marshall 6 Theater here in Marshall, Minnesota.
So another great thing that comes along with the Marshall 6 movie theater is the R&R combo. Now, traditionally, it is Reese's and a large drink. However, the fans have spoken, the Reese's have been flying off the shelves.
Not
so
all accurate.
As of right now, it will be cookie dough bites until I hope they have enough cookie dough bites.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Friday, July 29th, the big weekend here coming up. First things first, let's talk about DC League of Super Pets. It's an animated movie centering around Crypto the Superdog, I guess specifically, but also giving other pets superpowers, really.
Yep. Disney movie.
No, it's not a Disney movie.
I meant to say animated movie with animals.
Don't take this away from us, okay?
It's gonna
DC, we're coming, all right?
it's
If we
gonna
can't beat them
do
in live
great.
action, we're going to beat them in animation, all right? We're going to do it, guys.
It's gonna do great. It's gonna do great.
I will say, if DC needs a win, we have Dwayne Johnson in our pocket.
Yep.
Because he's voicing Crypto, he's also playing a character later on this fall in a live action movie. You know what, Marvel, you may have Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth and pretty much every Chris, and also Scarlett Johansson, one of the most highest paid actors.
Kit Harington.
And Kit Harington.
6.5 hours later.
And Mark Ruffalo. And, also Tom Holland. But we have Dwayne Johnson. So that's a point.
Big dub. Big dub for Warner
Point
Bros.
goes to us. We got him. We did it.
We got him.
We got him. Also coming out that same weekend, Vengeance. This is coming to theaters from writer/director B.J. Novak, who's probably best known from The Office. A big city reporter goes back to his hometown after the death of an, let's call it, old friend,
Old friends.
but not really a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. And basically kind of plans to report on a story about people who create conspiracies when the truth is really too hard to process. Plot twist, maybe there actually is a conspiracy here.
Yep.
I do find the subject matter interesting because I think it is worth mentioning. It's very easy to invent a conspiracy theory and not even realize you're doing it. So I think the fact that originally he's like, yeah, that's the story. I'm going to interview these people and kind of find out, all right, how easy is it to go down the rabbit hole? And it doesn't take much.
Yep.
So I don't necessarily know if I like this twist that the movie implies, that maybe there actually is a conspiracy. I almost wonder if there's going to be a double plot twist where it's like, no, it actually is just kind of a weird coincidence. Some of the things happened. There is no conspiracy.
Yeah.
And that's how easy it is to invent one. Even the smartest guy in the room here, like, accidentally fell for that trap.
See, and I'm looking at it as the other way, is how sometimes easy it could be to not really look into something or just take something at face value, and there's a lot more to it than just that.
Okay.
So I think it'll be interesting because they're way different viewpoints at the same thing. So it'll be a fun watch.
Yeah. And then finally coming out this weekend, Not Okay. This is coming out on Hulu. A movie about a photo editor who wants to be kind of noticed more, wants to be a writer. And so she tries to get more attention. She notices, she kind of makes a lie where she's like, oh yeah, I'm taking a trip to Paris. And like just that already made like people notice her more.
Yeah.
But now she's got to prove that she went to Paris without actually going to Paris.
Yep.
The editor in me is very impressed by this because she has to kind of bend over backwards and figuring out these ways with green screen effects and photo editing to make it look like she's in Paris,
actually there,
even though she never left home.
Yep.
But the morality in me is like, that's kind of, it's not great. And then it gets even worse. Turns out when she's supposed to be in her trip to Paris, terrorist attacks break out in Paris in this world. And now everyone's like, oh my God, has our friend died? And she's like, no, I'm okay. And she like sneaks her way through the airport to make it look like she just got back.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, you survived. And they're like, and she like gains so much more attention as the survivor and everything.
Yep.
Thankfully, this story is not based on a true story. Exactly.
Exactly.
However, this has happened in real life, unfortunately. In 2012, a documentary came out called The Woman Who Wasn't There, about someone who claimed to be a 9/11 survivor, gained a lot of attention from it, was a speaker about it, only to find out she wasn't there.
Yep.
So, unfortunately, this does happen.
It does.
And she reaps the benefits there, it looks like, for a little bit.
For a little bit. And then something tells me she's not okay.
I hope she gets her. Oh, good one. Good. Do you think that's going to be the moment? That's going to be the moment?
I hope so.
Yeah. And with that, let's move on to some number one recommends, let you know what's going on. What we've been watching here recently. I'm going to kick things off here with one that I'm super excited about. I know you agree with, but
you can go first.
I locked you in a room and I said, submit. I'm going to recommend it. You can't recommend it. And then finally, after 2 days of no food, you said fine.
Fine.
Yep. I am recommending Nope, Jordan Peele's latest movie. I have a feeling not as many people are going to like this one as his other two because it goes even more out there, I think. But it's the fact that he goes even more out there that I love it even more. I feel like whenever you watch a movie, there's always rules to the environment, to the world.
Mm-hmm.
He's basically saying, yeah, there's rules to this world, but they're the rules I made, and I am rewriting them than what you would conventionally see in some of the movies like these. And I love that. He's basically saying, yep, this is how this world works because I said it was. And that to me is a great creator moment. So if you're kind of into that, if you're into that world building, I suggest you check this out. If you're a little bit into, I've always considered his movies more tension building than straight up horror. I guess Us maybe a little bit. But if you want to see some sci-fi tension,
yeah.
Ryan, why don't you go ahead? What'd you watch recently? What are you recommending?
So I just finished season 3 of The Boys. Now,
and even more recently, he spoiled part of season 3 of The Boys for me.
Just a little bit. It wasn't. Well, see, Nick doesn't really know if it's a true spoiler or not.
It is.
I might have been.
I know him. It is.
Might have been tricking him.
No, just talk about the season.
But I love it. This one, you see a little bit more of Huey. You see him kind of have to make some moral decisions. Homelander is just fantastic, and they introduce an old soldier or an old soup, Soldier Boy, and the dynamic of all three kind of got Homelander, Soldier Boy, and then the boys. And then there's some like soup, non-soup. Oh, I can make myself a soup with Temp V. It's just a little more morally. You see a little bit more of the morals in some of the characters, and you see how truly terrible and terrifying Homelander is, but you may also see a softer side, the little soft underbelly. And it's a great show with a fantastic season, and they just okayed season 4. So if you like this show, you have to watch it. It's awesome.
Well, that's going to do it for us on this episode of Popcorn Bucket List. If you have any of your own movie recommendations, let us know. For myself and Ryan Meyerberg, we'd like to thank you so much for watching, and we will see you at the movies.
Nope.